Sending you one right back. Thank you so much, Lee and Philip, for inviting me. It's a true honor to be part of this today. Goodness, so much to share. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to Living Threads here in Santa Fe, our new space, my partner Eric Midling and myself. And I don't know if you can see a little bit behind me, Eric's photography, Oaxaca pottery, and all the textiles that I curate from around the world. So in transformation, in the spirit of transformation, and Lee, I loved what you said about beauty as activism, and that really resonates with me. Basically, my background, so I'm going to tell a little bit of a story about how this all started. And we go back to 2006. And in 2006, I was deep in the world of international development. I had just recently graduated grad school in international development, peace education, and conflict resolution. And this was my life. I was so excited to be doing this work, and I had just recently secured a job of my dreams. It was connecting kids to scholarships to go abroad for the summer. And I was born in Brazil. My mother's from Argentina, my father's American. And so I grew up traveling, being exposed to many different cultures. And I really believed that cross-cultural education was a very important part of children's education. And so I'm repeating myself a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous, so I will calm down in a second. It's been a very hectic weekend here in Santa Fe.
We're not going to be
no.
very, it's not amongst friends, so it's very simple.
Okay.
Among friends.
Oh, that's very nice to hear. And so here I was about to start this job, and I'm 29 at the time. And I was just thrilled. And within the first hour of the job, I realized I had made a terrible mistake. I felt like this round person trying to fit into a square person, and it was just a disaster. And 5 days later, I was sat down by my boss, and she said, "You can do this job, but I don't think you want to." And in that moment, I really realized I could say yes and continue this trajectory that I was on, or I could be honest and say, "You're right, and thank you." And I don't know where or how, but I was able to be honest. And I said, "Thank you so much. You're right. This is not the right job for me." And I left. And I was in Brooklyn, and I lived all the way on the Upper West Side. And I had the whole entire day ahead of me and no job. So it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting out there, and I was like, okay, what can I do with my day? And I was like, I'm going to walk. And so I started walking and walking. I crossed the Brooklyn Bridge, and I went all the way through Manhattan. And at one point, this man, I must have looked absolutely devastated, because this man took a look at me and he just started singing and said, "Don't stop believing." Yes, it was the Journey song. And I just broke out into this huge smile, and I realized what an incredible opportunity, because I had time and space, and I could just dream. And what did I want to do? And I realized this quote came to me that night, and I stayed up all night just writing. I wrote my manifesto, and this quote kept ringing going through my head. And it was Mother Teresa's quote that says, "Please don't invite me to an anti-war protest, but if you have a peace rally, I will be there." And that was huge for me, because I realized I had been in the protest, in the anti-war rally, and I didn't want to be anti anything. I wanted to be for something. I wanted to create. I wanted to create a reality that I loved. I wanted to create my own peace rally. And so that night I wrote, and I came up with all these ideas, and I realized I wanted to be in slow fashion. I wanted to work with artisans. I wanted to work with natural fibers. I wanted to be a connector. I wanted to be a bridge, but I had no idea how to do that. And so I just kept thinking and thinking, and I realized that I wanted to start a business. And I had absolutely no experience in business or in working with artisans. However, I did have 8 years of working on the field in El Salvador, China, Ecuador, Brazil. And so I was like, okay, I can do this. But if I'm really honest, it took me about 5 years to gain the courage to be able to start. And so I took that time, I got another job, I worked, and every like free second that I had, I would study, I would read, I took classes at FIT, I did the sustainable design certificate. I just really threw myself into it. And finally, I was so tired of procrastinating that I ended up booking a ticket, getting on the plane to Argentina to visit family. But I also gave myself 2 weeks to go to the north and visit artisans. And that was tremendous. I went, it was this beautiful places in Jujuy and in Formosa, which is the high desert in Argentina. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And we went with, the man who took me around was named Victor. We had a big SUV or a truck, and we would knock on these doors and we would go into these homes, very quiet. I always remember the silence. And we'd see this beautiful loom, and there would be the artisan working. And so that way I started curating all these beautiful pieces that really spoke to me. And I came back to the States and I realized, I was like, okay, it's now or never, because I can continue the cycle of preparing forever. So I said, enough. And I I produced 5 different trunk shows, and I called up friends, family friends, and people said yes, to my surprise. And I branded everything, made it look very beautiful, very elegant, simple, because I wanted the attention to the product. And so I threw my first trunk show and it was a success. And I was so surprised and excited. And I was like, okay, I'm onto something. So this is now 2011. And I started. And so and I loved it. And I really loved it. And people loved the product and it spoke to them. And I really wanted to create a connection. And I love what Melissa was saying earlier today about IFAM, how people come and they buy these beautiful pieces because they can feel the story, meet the artisan, and it's imbued with meaning and soul. And that's exactly what I also try to do, because we live in a world where things have become so much more flat, is how I feel it. I touch things and I need to feel that they're alive. And when they do, I know that that's a piece that I want to carry here at the store. And so that's how Nuraxi came to be. And as life goes, I got married, I moved to California. I was deeply now in the world of trunk shows. It was not intentional, it was just sort of what had happened. And it was great, it was very easy because I would show up, not easy, but it was a lot of work. But the sales were always there because it was events and people were excited and they were supporting different causes. There's a lot of fundraisers. And, but I started getting into this, what's it called? A wheel, right? Just repetitive. And I also then realized I was now 39 and I had another moment in my life that I realized that I was not in a moment of happiness. I was in a very unhappy marriage. I was with a man that did not believe in my vision and did not believe in me. And this was so hard and I had just accepted it. And I made excuses and I finally had enough. And one of the reasons I had enough was because I so believed in my vision. I really believe that the world wants more options for beauty. And that is what makes my soul come alive. And I couldn't give up on it because he really wanted me to get a 9-to-5 job and give up on Nuraxi, and I just could not do it. And so finally, it was actually after this trip to Tibet that I was surrounded with so much love, and where I met Philip, and surrounded by people who believed in me and saw me. And I came back and I was like, wow, this is feeling so not right. And then the other thing that I discovered was, or I rediscovered, was dance, is a free form dance. And I started dancing, and the body does not lie, and it would not let me stay in this marriage. And so I committed myself to leaving it gracefully. And I moved to LA, where I could dance every weekend and every Tuesday night. And I just focused on healing and I focused on work. And I was like, if I can just keep this going and heal myself, I know there will be more to come in my life, that I wanted to offer more. And so that all happened. And it was long journey. It was a hard journey. It was deep, deep grief, but it was beautiful because I started finally knowing myself. And I believe, in self-love and more understanding and more dignity in this world would really make a difference. And that's what I did with myself. And luckily in 2020, in February, I went down to Mexico City and I met Eric at this beautiful textile event called Textile, which is now extant. And we ended up meeting, and it was very quickly. I think it was about 42 hours. We already knew we wanted to be together. And then COVID hit. So we quarantined together, and that gave us so much time to dream. And both of our jobs had completely stopped, completely. Like there were no trunk shows happening. I did not know what to do. And so I closed up my apartment in LA and I moved up to Ashland, Oregon. And we just sat there under this beautiful pine tree and we just dreamt and dreamt and came up with all these ideas of what we wanted to do. And eventually we realized we wanted to live together and Ashland nor LA would work. And so we realized that Santa Fe could be a possibility. And Santa Fe absolutely said yes to us. And within 5 days, everything was planned, including Eric's daughter was coming to live with us, beautiful 18-year-old daughter, and who I'm so lucky now to have a relationship with. And we moved to Santa Fe, and Santa Fe said yes. And now we have this beautiful space, and we are loving it. And I really think IFAM has been a part of why this place has been so welcoming to our vision of bringing together craftsmanship traditions and also the photography celebrating community fashion, is because so much training and education has gone into Santa Fe about why this product, why the handmade is so important. And so people just get it. There's no explanation. People walk in here and they understand the value of what it is that we're offering and the value how important it is to support local economies and to give people options. They can stay in their communities and work on their craftsmanship, or they can choose to go to the cities. But creating an option is, to me, very important work. And that's where the beauty becomes activism. And now Eric is reminding me to share the space. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like okay. So let's now share the space. Welcome to Living Threads. So here, okay, and I'm wearing this piece of, it's a piece of chaguar, which is a bromeliad. It's from the north of Argentina. And here you have different examples of this work by the Wichi indigenous women. And so here you have a beautiful basket. I insist on all natural dyes. There's absolutely no artificial dyes in the baskets and the pieces that we collect. And you can see the different forms. This is a lot thicker. And part of the fun of being in the desert is finding flowers. And so I only will work with organic farms in the area. And this is from Mini Falls Farm, all organic and beautiful. And then we have beautiful cacti by a local friend of ours. And so that was very hard moving from California, where there was such an abundance of flowers. And now I really appreciate June, July, and August for the flowers that do grow. Okay, so now, how's it going? All right, so here's Eric's photography. He spent 25 years in Oaxaca working with artisans and mostly potters. And he also spent 2 years putting together this exhibition celebrating community fashion. And here we also have all these beautiful ceramics, pottery. Here's another piece of chaguar. What's incredible about this project, this is about a 30-year-old project. It's a social enterprise. And the women are only women will work with the bromeliad, and they call it chaguar. And it is a gorgeous piece. And what I love about it's like the one I'm wearing, whew, getting hot in here. So like that. And you can wear it or you can decorate with it. And so I really like to include multifunctional pieces that you can wear and also decorate. Look at this gorgeous piece here. And this is very old world pottery that's used for cooking from Oaxaca. Okay, how are we doing on time? 3 minutes. Okay. And then here, well, let's show the clothing, which is so much fun because before I didn't do as much clothing. But here we have all natural dyes. This is a company, a designer called 1111. and they just do exquisite work. This is all pomegranate skin, the dye, and of course your beautiful indigo. Up we go, and you have merino wools from Argentina, from the south, and then you have alpaca from Peru. These are all undyed, hand spun, hand woven, and they're just a delight. Okay. And then we have some home goods, and I wanted to show you a few specific pieces that are really quite exquisite. And this is really an ode to Argentina, where my mother's side of the family is from. And here is the bromeliad again. You can see that craftsmanship there. And this is dyed with tree trunk bark. And here is the plain one, which is absolutely delightful. I just love its simplicity. Okay. And what's exciting is that the women are able to spend more time since there's more demand on the product. And now this is one of the first project, and it's a blouse. And you can see that geometry, it's just so good. All right. And then this is my favorite fiber. This is llama. And the llama is a hardy animal, cousin to the alpaca and the vicuña. And this is the piece that you can have for a lifetime. It is so sturdy and it is so warm. And this color is just gorgeous. No dyes, hand spun, hand woven, and then brushed. Love it. And then here is the bromeliad once it's been prepared. And then somewhere here, I had a little ball of string, which has now disappeared because it's always chaos. There it is. And so they will prepare the bromeliad. They will cut it down with, they just grow wild, cut them down and pound, scrape, prep, dye, and then spin. So it's a tremendous amount of work. And I just love this project as the women are really loving it. They can't produce enough. And that's how in demand the product is. Okay. And then the men, the Wichi men work with Palo Santo. And it's this beautiful wood, only hand carved, and they will only use reclaimed wood. Here it is. So I like that. And I love having both pieces here. I don't know if you can, this is another piece made by the Wichi women. And it just all goes together so well because it's all natural. So we're almost, I think, at 20 minutes, and I want to thank you. And I also want to close. When Eric and I were really dreaming up this space, we were thinking about, okay, it looks like the world is changing very quickly. So what do we need in our lives to feel okay with all that's going on? And so we came up with all these ideas. We thought we had to become farmers and like grow our own food. And we quickly realized that was not going to work. And we kept coming back to this idea of community and how important community is. And that was what resilience meant for us. And so in moving to Santa Fe, we really have been focused on building community, and Living Threads allows us to do that. We are able to have events, talks, and it's a dream. It's a dream come true for me. And we're really hoping to expand the educational component of this studio space and eventually include wellness and healing section to it also. And so here we are in this little corner of Santa Fe, and the community is growing. We're having First Fridays now that we've helped co-create, and it's becoming an event. And people are coming. We're now having about 100 to 200 people coming First Fridays of every month. And it's such joy to be able to be part of that. And I'm also, on a personal note, I have committed to becoming a 360 dance teacher, which is the free form dance that helped me heal. And so hopefully at some point we'll be able to include classes and so to help people dance through their emotions. And it's exciting. We're creating. And thank you so much. This is our peace rally, and that's it. Thank you. I don't know if there's any questions, and thank you again for including.
if sort of changing your life twice, you know, you rearrange your life twice makes you this happy. I think everybody should, frankly.
Yes,
Because
I agree.
many people, you know, wait too long, or are so unhappy and they don't know how to do it, or they think this is the status quo, or, you know, there will be a better day and so on. But you are living proof that, you know, these steps, although they're very difficult, then do bring this amazing amount of happiness, which is astounding, I think, for us all to see and witness. I love all these bromea fabrics, but I've never seen one in white.
Oh, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
The white, this is just, to me, perfection.
Yeah.
And it's such movement to it, and it just, you feel the earth, and it's very grounding. I love how all of these pieces are, because they're just so natural.
Yeah, we're going to order one for our trend book, I think.
Wonderful.
It'll be cut to pieces, but it will inspire 100 people. So I'm sorry.
And I just, and when we came up with our motto, we were reading Charles Eisenstein, and I don't know if you can see this, and he asked a question, and it's very simple, and it's, what is the most beautiful thing you can do? And that is what when we get overwhelmed, we just come back to that question, and we realize this is our journey, this is our gift, and also our honor and privilege and joy. And so, you know, in tough moments, just ask yourself, what is the most beautiful thing you can do?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Philip.
As you said, this is your peace protest. So